Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Gears of War 2, and this is my insane difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 2-5. It is entitled Captivity. For the most part, this chapter is not that bad as far as the requirement, the challenge level, and things like that. The checkpoint that you get after this, though, is it's kind of a long one, and if they had given you another one, it would have been nice just for the convenience of not having to go back. This checkpoint right here, you're not going to get a checkpoint for quite some time after you've gone on the ship here. There is a boomer and a drone up there. I was able to kill the drone right there, but that was very lucky. It's hard to hit things in motion, but I did want to mention that, do you see the boomer? He's on the ship and then he'll come down the hill there. If you kill him too far up on that hill, what's going to happen is, and if you want to obtain his boom shot, this is just for people that want more ammo or they want the boom shot. See him right there? Just make sure he comes down that slope enough to about right there. That's a good spot because you're going to go into a checkpoint halfway up that hill, and you're not going to be able to get the boom shot if it's on the ground somewhere beyond where the tripwire is for that cutscene. And you really don't need the boom shot. If you don't have it, don't worry. It is nice to have it though for the beasts. I always forget their names. If you want a grenade tag, this guy, I don't think he has an opportunity. I don't know if he can melee, but he's a grinder. I would be careful though. I'm not sure. He could probably hit you, but hit you with his arm. If you want to stand back and just shoot him with the boom shot, that's fine. But once he's out of the way, you'll push that switch and then you'll come down here. It prompts you to open the prison doors down there, but you don't have to. You are just with Dom at this point, so if Dom takes a knee, as it is, you'll have to come up here and help him out. And then you have Reavers that you're dealing with here after you kill those couple of enemies that are up here. And then you're going to push this switch, or I'm sorry, pull it down, and then you're going to be dealing with another ship that has a turret on it. What the turret guy likes to do is board this ship and then come after you, so be careful of that. There's just a lot that's going on this level, but if you go down where you were by the prison doors down here, not much happens over here. Like, the only thing that probably will happen is the turret guy will come down here, and the drawback to having the boom shot and the long shot like this is that I don't have an assault rifle, so it's not always the easiest thing to do close quarters combat, because obviously the boom shot, you can get killed at close range if you use it. Like, this was an accident right here. I thought I was throwing a nade, but I had the boom shot on, so I accidentally blind fire killed that guy. But if you have the boom shot and the long shot like I do, it's difficult to do, standard fighting and deal with threats that come after you in a close way. But I really like to hang on to these weapons. When you finish this chapter, though, it doesn't matter what you take into 2-6, Act 2-6. You don't need any specific weapons for 2-6. And even when you finish 2-6 and go into 3-1, they're going to take your weapons from you anyway at the beginning of Act 3. So it does not matter at all. But as you're going through this chapter, though, it's nice to have what you prefer, of course. So coming down here now, you're going to throw this switch, and then now you get a checkpoint. But it didn't look like much, but there's a couple of cutscenes there, and just no checkpoint. An easy ability to get killed by the Reavers and things like that. If you're staying on the top of the ship, though, you're kind of asking to be killed on that part. But right here, you've got a grinder that will come either from the right or from the middle, and then you have all of the standard locust over here. And this is kind of difficult because there's a bunch of teammates, with you, and there's not much cover, and everybody's so bulky. So you try to get into cover sometimes, and people just won't move over. This is an early gears that doesn't have the teammates move over when you push up against them like the other gears do. So this is like a kind of a little kind of I don't know. I just don't like having to fight for cover while you're trying to just fight normally. There is a Gorgon pistol over here. There's a Gorgon pistol there. But did you see during that fight, I was in cover that was like waist high, and then I withdrew from it while still aiming, and I was able to aim over my left shoulder while moving around. This is a piece of cover that you can do that on too. Now, when you get over here, you have beast riders that come from to the right down below, and I tried to use the mulcher on them, but it's movement. I mean, holding it restricts your movement way too much, and it's just difficult to use it unless you're like up here. But I was trying to aim over the edge and hit them when they spawn. It just wasn't working, so I wouldn't recommend that. I would definitely recommend using it in this area here, like straight on is fine. But I can't warn you enough though. Once you get to the next checkpoint, what happened to me was I went back in my tracks looking for ammo, and I actually had to redo this next fight over here every time I reloaded the checkpoint, instead of just being put in that village that's on fire. So I had to restart actually I had to restart from, I think, the entire act, because I wanted my weapons exactly the way that they were. So it's a glitch, and beware of it. Yeah, this is the checkpoint. You'll be put back here on this checkpoint here, and it's not much of an inconvenience, but it was just really bothering me. So I can't remember the names of those goddamn things. I hate that when you're talking and then you cannot remember what they are. Blood mounts. They're called blood mounts. There's a blood mount on almost all of these fights. The fight before, we had 2 blood mounts actually, and then over here you have a one of those priests. Okay. Now this village that's on fire, or whatever it is, a city, town, it's got a lot of fights on it, but it's not anything that's too strenuous. In fact, I remember this village being a little bit more difficult than it's turning out to be, at least recently for me. Fight number 1, I think it's 3 drones, and then after you do this fight, you're gonna push forward, and you're going to be fighting about 3 more with Acanthus. But don't run forward too much, otherwise you're going to fight a Reaver at the same time though, so you'll want to definitely stand back. It's hard to hit the Acanthuses with the long shot because of their sometimes erratic movement, but it's nice to be able to kill them if you get a headshot. Yeah. So there's of course tickers to contend with. The Acanthuses in this game, they're not that bad. I think the ones that are, I haven't played 3 recently, but I've played Judgment lately, and those ones can be really bitchy, because when you kill them, they have this poison mist that lingers after their death, and it's the same mist that comes from those ink grenades that they throw. And they seem to throw them a lot more in Judgment. In this game, they're... anyway, sorry. So once you run over here, be careful you don't clip against the environment while you're running over here, because as you're running over here, you're spawning a Reaver, and this is probably the safest place to fight it because you're directly in front of it. It can't possibly kill you in here unless you are trying to get killed by it. And also, there's a big box of ammunition in here too. So I've switched out my long shot for the hammer burst, mostly because I don't use the hammer burst that much. I want to just switch for something, and you're not going to need any more use for the long shot. Because, as I say, they're going to take away your stuff at the beginning of the next act. I'm sorry, and the next act is my least favorite act in the game. I have to say that without any reserve, because I just don't like what it is. There's a couple of fights that I do really enjoy, but for overall, I think it's a lot of people probably really like it, but I just don't care for it. What it is it's it has a boss fight on it that I hate at the end. It has you running around an old facility dealing with AI and things, and those monsters just scare the hell out of me when I'm fighting them. Okay, so when you push up here, I think there's 3 more guys. They spawn over to the right. And at the end of this, it's going to prompt you to press Y, and it'll say evacuation point, and you just need to go into the building. Before you do, however, I would get some grenades so you can use them for proximity mines on this next part. It can help a little bit. But whenever I want to do a lot of damage with those, sometimes it turns out that enemies seem to tank the damage, or the damage goes into the walls or something, and the enemies don't take too much damage. Strange, but you're going to see me switch to the grenades as I go through this checkpoint, so I don't have to switch every time. Because remember, on this game it saves the fact of whatever you're holding at the time of going through the checkpoint. But since I have 4 grenades, I don't need to run around and look for stuff right now. The boom shot's good too. You're not going to need it though. It's not necessary. Okay, so there's one final checkpoint up here, and it's a fight on this burning building. And the piece of cover that you mantle over right here, you can't go back, but I'm going to place a grenade on there because I know that a couple of enemies come over from here, as well as a Cantus. But it's one of the situations where if you put it on the piece of cover over to the left, I think the cover absorbs the damage. And here I'm just placing a couple down to do double damage to that Cantus, and it didn't kill him, and I was kind of disappointed. I think if you're looking over there while they spawn, they'll spawn from another area of the roof. So just take that in mind. It can happen sometimes. Now, there's not many good places to stand over here, but I found that if you come over here, you're pretty damn safe. And if you want to, you can grenade tag in different directions. It's a survival moment. You'll see a counter coming at some point pretty soon, and it's just survive it, and then you'll go into the checkpoint, and you'll clear the act. I'm sorry, you'll go into the last chapter of the act. But most of the enemies hang out in the middle, so it's not bad to come over here. But the cover is placed in ways that the enemies can sideline you with bullets. So basically, just stay alive, hide behind your teammates. It's not that bad. It goes fast, and the enemies are preoccupied with your teammates a lot. So it's not, like I said, not too bad at all. Okay, take care.